Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Rational Trader Podcast. JD here with my co-host Louis Navellier. Happy Friday, Louis. We were talking golf before I hit record, and I've been for the month of July in Arizona, and flying back home tomorrow. I got one last opportunity to go out and play golf yesterday, but it's something else playing in 105-degree heat.
Well, at least it's easier to compress the ball.
Well, and when you're older, you need every advantage you can get.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't tell you, but I started off par,
it's
and,
excellent.
then I blew up.
Listen, excellent. Yeah, I know what that's like. Yeah, I started birdie a couple rounds ago, and then I woke up. So anyway,
Yeah,
oops.
you start thinking too much. The first two holes, I was like, I'm just happy to be here, and then
Yeah,
wait a minute, I'm like even par after two. Let's go. Maybe I can break 40.
there you go. Okay.
Well, Louis, we talked on our Two Sigma videos this week that earnings are really front and center, and I don't know what you're seeing today, but do you have any stocks today that reported earnings?
No, not that I remember, but I would add that Tesla's rebounding today after selling off. That's a good sign. Google held up pretty well despite concerns of higher spending. We have Apple and Amazon next week. Those are going to be the flagships, as well as Microsoft. Apple, I'm the most worried about because they just seem to be struggling. Although they did make the F1 movie, I don't know if they've monetized that yet. Um, but the uh, Apple's still about the phone, and I hope they tease a folding iPhone or something. It's supposed to be next year, not this year, but even if they had a limited run of 100,000 folding phones,
Right.
they get $4,000 a piece for those things, So,
You know,
uh,
they seem to have thrown in the towel on AI, and I know you for Market Buzz had the natural intelligence CEO on. What do you make of Apple kind of giving up on AI?
well, the problem with AI is it's just too energy. Um, the energy demands are ridiculous. Um, that's what we're talking to Paul about. Paul's firm is Natural Intelligence, and his AI development that just doesn't use the energy. So hopefully Paul will get a great niche for all these applications. I would like to have my AI to be human based or animal based versus so we don't have a Skynet scenario like that we had in the Terminator movies. You know what I mean? Also, all these things are going to have to be plugged into and updated constantly. At the Tesla diner, which was, I guess, a hit. Was well designed. The Optimus robot was just serving popcorn. So the Optimus robot wasn't taking your order or serving you yet.
So they haven't eliminated the need for humans quite yet.
No, no. And then we did talk to Paul quite a bit about why Tesla doesn't have LiDAR and um why they might want to have LiDAR. He lives out there in Idaho and they got elk in Idaho. Trust me, you don't want to hit an elk, even though you might be able to drive under the legs, depending what kind of car you're driving. So
They're big.
yeah, and they're also herd animals. So if you see one, there's gonna be several.
Sure,
And then
sure.
also out west they get antelope. And if you get one antelope, there's like 40 of them. And you don't want to go around and turn and hit a whole bunch of animals. So it's
I do
uh
notice out here in the desert, whether it's Las Vegas or Phoenix or Tucson, well, maybe not Tucson so much, but the driverless cars go running around.
yeah,
I,
Waymo dominates out there.
have
Yeah.
you been in one of those?
No, no, but
Nor
we
have
had
I.
Luke Langone on, and he lives in Paradise Valley now, and he takes them all the time, and they're very popular. They were popular during those riots in LA. Remember they ordered the Waymos and set them on fire.
Oh yeah, that's right.
and then they took them off their approved map thing. So right now, all the driverless cars are pre-mapped, and they can only go so many places. So if you tell the Waymo I'd like to go to my ranch in Wyoming on a dirt road, it won't happen.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe I'm showing my age, but I just can't see myself. What is the benefit of going with as a consumer, right? I have a choice. I can have a driver or I can go driverless. What's going to make
It's just
is
the
it a
future,
cheaper
Jamie.
ride?
It's just the future. Um, all the cars now come with adaptive cruise control where they lock in the car in front of you. I find that to be a godsend in Miami or San Francisco or very congested areas, because the stop go would drive you bananas. Okay.
Hmm.
If you just
Hmm.
lock in the car in front of you, you can just actually relax while the car drives itself. So, but I do have some friends that swear by Tesla FSD, full self-driving, but it's all been pre-mapped, and so that's how it works. So usually when these things come out, they have a human. Tesla in Austin was having a human, and if the car ever gets stuck, they'll stick it. But let's just get it out there. Let's start developing the miles, and let's figure out which system is best.
Okay.
And
Well,
then
Louis, we lost Hulk Hogan yesterday, and I couldn't help but think of the first WrestleMania cage match, and that seems to be what's going on with our president and our chair of the Federal Reserve.
that was very interesting. So yeah, Trump's walking around with Powell in the building. They're both wearing hard hats. And then Trump says, "Well, it's not 2.4 billion now; it's 3.1 billion." And
No,
Powell's
it's
saying
not.
under his breath that no, no, no. He's shaking his head. And then Trump pulls out a letter and hands it to Powell, and Powell reads it and says, "Well, no, this includes an extra building." So yeah, Trump likes to humiliate people. So it is outrageous what they're doing. Okay, apparently they're excavating a lot of dirt under the building. They got to store stuff down there. I don't know
Yeah.
if I ever told you I was on a Southwest flight to New Orleans, and the Federal Reserve was transporting money,
Oh,
cash, and it came in these very thick green bags. And they asked us to go to the back of the plane because the cash weighed a lot. And they put the cash in the pressurized part under the plane, where they transport dogs and stuff.
oh,
And
sure.
then a man with a gun crawled in there with all the cash. And I was still trying to think, why are they shipping all this cash to New Orleans?
Yeah, why was
But
that?
I don't know. To this day, I don't know. It's a lot of canals. It could be smuggling. I don't know. Cash
Right, right.
economy. I don't know. Maybe they captured some submarines with a bunch of cocaine in it. We have those things here in Florida. So I don't know.
It was interesting at the golf course yesterday when I checked in. I won that poker tournament, and it's the first time I think I've had cash in my pocket in 5 years. I mean, I just use plastic or my phone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to get rid of it. And so I handed, the rental clubs and the round cost was $97. I'm like, perfect. Here's 100, keep the change, And he's like, no, we don't take cash. And I was like, when did that happen?
Well, that happens in any business where there's theft. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this was an Arnold Palmer course, part of the Marriott Hotel,
Yeah. Yeah.
complex.
Marriott rules. Yeah.
I guess Marriott they must be in the crypto business too, because
Well, Marriott, they're pretty straight people. They're up in Salt Lake City, and
okay,
they're but some of them are franchises, some are company owned, and they've been running They own part of Ritz-Carlton, been running that for many years. So
Okay. Well, I was just surprised. I mean,
yeah.
like I said, I don't carry cash usually, and I just happen to have it because I won that darn poker tournament.
Well, if you ever play Sawgrass, it's a very expensive course now, but it's a very good course. Sets up great
That's
for
a TPC, right?
but that's also Marriott property too.
Okay.
You stay at the hotel there and in Ponte Vedra, and that's but
Well, my publisher is in Jacksonville. Isn't that where Sawgrass is?
no, they're Ponte Vedra.
Ponte Vedra.
It's not that far, 40 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Well, the thing I noticed about the Trump Powell cage match is it does seem to be all about humiliation. It doesn't sound like he's really gonna do anything. And now I'm hearing, and I don't know if it's just, wishful thinking, but maybe there will be a surprise rate cut at the end of July. Yeah, I mean, he has governors on board for doing that.
Well, the problem is ADP comes out in the morning, Wednesday morning. Then Friday we have the payroll report. Remember, we had a horrible ADP report. And then although payroll was stronger, most of the hiring was teachers, and they get laid off. So if we do get a bad payroll report, unemployment skyrockets. They would have more incentive to cut, and that's what Christopher Waller. That's why he's going to vote against holding even. So
Mhm.
he's going to be a dissenting vote if they don't cut. So there's going to have to be some. The problem is the meeting is before the payroll report, but I think they will have the ADP report. Yeah, the ADP will come out before 2 o'clock, so they should be okay. So we'll see.
There are some folks reading the tea leaves on earnings. One company that reported this week was Chipotle, Louis, and that stock was hammered.
Devastated. Devastated. Yeah. So
Yeah.
same store sales declined 4%.
Is
So that
that, I mean, that should be a Federal Reserve concern. I mean,
no
again,
kidding.
they're hurting the poor.
That's a Scott Bessett concern. So Scott Bessett said the top 88% of stock is in 12% of the households. The next 12% of stock is in the next 38% of households.
Hmm.
Then the bottom 50% of America is in debt. And that's who we got to get the tax cuts to stimulate their economy. A lot of these people pay outrageous interest rates, where they can't get out of that cycle they're in, and that's most unfortunate.
Yeah, and I, 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 I was just you're spot on when you say the Federal Reserve will look at the ADP report and potentially use that to justify a rate cut. But we have all those PhDs. You talk about all of the expense of the renovations of that building. I'd be more concerned about all that money spent on these PhDs that can't do a forecast, 5 minutes in front of them.
Well, that's why the inflation has come in below economists' expectations for 5 consecutive months. And I subscribe to independent economists, Ian Shepardson and Ed Yardeni, and they have not shared the same concerns that Powell has had. What the tariffs have done is they've resulted in freer trade. Now, Trump this week, of course, did Indonesia and the Philippines at 19%. Um, uh, he did Japan at 15% with 550 billion being invested in America. Um, the but Europe's pretty upset because Britain got a 10% deal. It looks like they're going to get a 15% deal. And Volkswagen already has a generous offer to onshore quite a bit in America, especially for Audi. And of course, they have a Scout Motors plant in South Carolina. They got the other Volkswagen plant in Chattanooga. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think the EU has just mucked it all up because they represent 27 nations. So some countries like Germany couldn't negotiate directly, and that's unfortunate. But they've been very vocal, and the onshoring is going to be just nothing less than incredible. The other thing is the pharmaceutical business is huge too. That's why Ireland has such a big trade surplus with America. And the goal is to onshore manufacturing, of course, semiconductors, which are near you in Gilbert, Arizona, the TSM plant, and then of course pharmaceuticals. And Lilly has already moved a lot, is already planning to manufacture mostly in America. So this is going to be fascinating to watch. But we are going to hit 5% GDP growth because of all the onshoring.
Louis, I'm looking, markets are open as we record this on Friday, and stocks are doing really well. But we've had the reintroduction of Roaring Kitty and his band of merry followers.
Yeah, yeah.
The meme stock, the meme stocks are back. Does that give you any concern at all?
No, it just means that there's a lot of investor enthusiasm. So, Rigetti, which is a quantum computing stock, is one of them. Kohl's is probably the biggest, but I think what Open Doors one,
Yes.
and then, but you know, it just shows that investors are excited. So I've been shocked at how much the stocks have popped after earnings. I really have, and I don't get, and this is what I live for. So even the
Tell
stocks
me
I'm
some of the names of
selling
your
are
stocks
popping.
that have done well this week, Louis.
Well, the biggest for me was well, it started with Boston Scientific, and then Calmine, the egg stock, and then we had FTI, which is a tech company that really hit it out of the park. There's more oil and engineering tech there. So so far so good, and we had a lot of small caps pop, even though they haven't announced yet. Just earnings revisions and analyst upgrades. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you mentioned investor enthusiasm, and it really um, that's such an important part of having markets grow and
Yeah,
wider participation, more liquidity can mean higher multiples.
yeah. And Jensen Wong, he was on Fox Business with Brett Baer on a nighttime show at 6 o'clock. So you know, he's getting a lot of press.
Yeah. Is anybody going to dethrone NVIDIA? You said you were on with my cousin,
Yeah, yeah,
and
not for a few
I
years.
mean we've been talking for 2 or 3 years about having the ability to dethrone them is one thing, but then actually making it happen is another, and
Yeah,
that's the
Paul
struggle he's
hinted they
having.
eventually will be dethroned. It'll take several years, and I'd rather you watch the video because it's not going to be on the chipset. It's going to be on another little subsector of programming. But NVIDIA dominates everything now.
Yeah, they sure do. Um, Economic stats for the week were pretty quiet, Louis, but there was, you don't follow the S&P Global. Manufacturing number was below 50, but services were rip roaring.
Yeah,
And the US is a service economy.
yeah, 70% of it is, but it's going to get more manufacturing. So we're getting there. Um, we had durable goods. They dropped because of Boeing's orders collapsed, but Boeing has a big order backlog, and if we strip out transportation, it eked higher, so that was okay. It was better than comms expected. So
30 years ago, durable goods, that number actually mattered.
yeah,
It doesn't seem to really have the impact anymore.
right,
It
right.
it tends to be all about the aircraft.
But we can't get 5% GDP growth unless we do have the manufacturing sector joining the service sector.
Yeah, and boy, wouldn't that be something else to actually have that 5% growth? That's how you whittle down the deficit
Yep,
and the national debt.
right.
Yeah. Tax receipts are good, tariff receipts are good.
Yeah, and we're getting freer trade. Okay, that's the one thing that's happening. because Trump just called their bluff. That's all.
Okay, everything's going too good, Louis. You gotta tell me something that's not going good.
Well, obviously, Trump sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion, asserting that the card that was in the Epstein 50th birthday folder is not from Trump, and the comments in it. There's a card from Bill Clinton too. Um, so there's a riff there. Okay. Obviously, President Trump wants to throw Obama under the bus and back over him a few times, and he's in Tulsi Gabbard to do that, asserting that he's the genius behind Russiagate and everything that Brennan Clapper and Hillary Clinton had all did. Um, yeah, it's
What was your take on that whole I can tell you mine from a political science perspective. And
remember Tulsi was called a Russian asset in a debate with Hillary.
mm,
And so they have a profile of people that if you behave or say certain things, uh, they come to that conclusion. We have newsletter editors in uh, some are actually with my publishing firm that do try to scare you and get you out of the market. And some of the comments actually come from the Chinese Communist Party.
oh, really?
I have one guy that got so freaked out on what Mark Chaikin was saying. I put them all in gold stocks. I kept a few energy stocks for him, but he was just so freaked out. And I says, "Well, when are you leaving America? Because these people are very bearish, and the talking points are, the Chinese Communist Party is very good with its propaganda, and
Yes.
so he seemed to be very confused about that. But the other thing that's interesting, I was talking to one of the publishing executives. Um, you can't have overly bearish promotions anymore. That's been shut down by Google and Netflix. So remember the end of America video with the mushroom cloud that
Yeah, yeah.
Stansbury did with oh God, I forgot his copywriter, but very famous copywriter. He's director of MarketWatch, but he uh, that is no longer allowed. You can say there's going to be a correction. I'm going to tell you what's come out, but you can't say that the world's going to end.
Was it Robini is the
So
notorious?
Robini's always bearish. So is Jeremy Grantham, a bond manager.
Huh?
So they have their people to call to get the negative news. The other interesting thing is Tucker Carlson did interview Trevor Milton, who Trump pardoned, and he got hit on this Hindenburg short seller report. Hindenburg guy's out of business now, but it was explaining how they take the Hindenburg points and they run with them, and he still swears he didn't do anything wrong. So anyway, I found that interesting, but he's a little over the top as he talks. But when the government decides to come after you, they come after you, and if they don't get your friends to testify against you, then they'll charge those people too. So the
Mhm.
government is relentless. It's just like if we know somebody that was at the Capitol on January 6th, but didn't go in the Capitol building, just
Okay.
wandering around, and they find you through your credit cards or Bank of America, and finked on everybody. And anyway, so what happened is this person was raided. It was hogtied and
Oh my
on his
goodness.
knees in front of his lawn, in front of all his neighbors in his underwear.
Okay.
Wife and kid are there, and they couldn't find anything to charge this guy with. And finally, they got him on some misdemeanor, but they did it at the kids' volleyball game at school. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just
So,
it,
public humiliation was
you know it,
one of their tools. But all those people have been fired now. They
I
got it
going
purged.
back to the Russiagate thing, Louis. I mean, I do think it is reasonable if at least I hope somebody on our side, at the time just took a step back and you had an entirely, completely uh, complete novice in politics entering a very, very powerful position. And to 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 say that there's the possibility that uh, him or somebody on his team, whether knowingly or unknowingly, could get into a little bit of trouble is a reasonable thing to say. And it just seems to me that this whole thing is blown up from somebody asking that very reasonable question to the nefarious people on the left actually taking it and running with it. And and that's wrong. I agree with that.
So this is why you have to watch the Navellier Market Buzz episode with Paul, because we do get into defense intelligence.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
commented that the CIA and NSA did miss, 9/11. They did miss October 7th. And Paul was talking about how when they have an issue, they have to reset everything and start from scratch. And I don't like optimizing that crap. I call it garbage in, garbage out. And
Right.
so we got into this and what Planterra is doing. Planterra is redoing the entire intelligence, the intelligence agencies inside out. So, and then of course they're working for the Defense Department too. But yeah, you can have too much data, and you can, you shouldn't have all these people locked up in these little rooms. So it's interesting. So you have to watch the Navellier Market Buzz video with Paul.
Okay, I can't wait to watch that. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Louis, you've mentioned many times over the last month that you wish the markets would close in August.
Yeah.
And, you know, aside from the Chinese telling everybody to sell stocks, for your fears to be realized, there's going to have to be some sort of catalyst. I can't find a catalyst, I guess, and maybe
Very
that's the
simple.
whole
It's
point.
we can have another flash crash. We had one in August 24th of 2015.
Hmm.
The stocks hit circuit breakers. They opened the ETFs, even though they couldn't open the stocks. So all the ETFs plunged 35% at the opening and stayed there for a few hours. By the end of the day, they were unchanged. But if you had a stop loss system in, you would have gotten out of the 35% loss, even on conservative dividend ETFs.
Ooh.
And but Wall Street fleeced everybody. Stops were banned for a while. Physical stop orders were banned for a while after this. And I was arguing with somebody this week that there's no spreads on ETFs anymore, and I kept sending him all the spread that says, "Here's a link. Here's a link. Look at it." You know,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
this person is a very sophisticated person with all kinds of technology, and literally lives in a delusional world. And I said the daily spreads are bigger than the daily performance. And that's why if you bought QQQ at the opening and sold at the close every day in the last 40 years, you're down 53%. You bought it at the close, sold at the opening, you're up 3,200%. So Wall Street is a spread game. They like to fleece people, and people have to realize Wall Street makes money on spreads. And I don't trust them, and that's why I want the market closed every August.
I'm going to start tracking that because I tend to be in the delusional camp on
Well,
each.
look at what they're producing. You can buy leveraged Nvidia now.
Oh, I
Okay,
know. I know. Well,
you got single stock ETFs that are leveraged. So don't tell me those things don't have spreads. Okay.
what I want to know is, do they have their Nevada gaming license?
I don't know.
Because
It's
they're just creating gambling devices.
Yeah, exactly. And I just comment on that. I says you got to say what kind of investor are you buying whole for long-term gains, or do you trade to get endorphins? And it's interesting. And I'm gonna have to go because of the other commitment I have.
Sure.
Our publisher is very proud of having a high batting average, but in a trading service, if it doesn't have an 85% win rate, they can't sell it.
Hmm.
So that you got to have a high win rate. Okay.
Well, let's leave it at that, Louis.
Yeah,
Wall Street's going to screw you no matter what you try to do,
I
and
understand. Okay.
understand that. And listen, I want to finish up by saying, if indeed a flash crash of some kind does occur, don't be using stops. Don't panic. Don't close because it'll bounce right back.
Well, if
So,
you have the order in, you're done. You're dead.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Have
so
a
maybe
mental
you should
stop
go to the
benefits for the
beach and
stock.
leave your devices at home, take your stop losses, and come back
Understood.
in September.
Understood. All
Okay.
right, Tammy.
Louis, thank you very much. As always, this is JD for the Rational Trader Podcast. Louis and I'll be back next week. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.